Welcome everybody to BlizzCon. We know that you all want to hear more about Overwatch 2. Allow us to invite you behind the scenes to explain more of what we're doing and why.
Everybody, please.
So it's only like 30 minutes of this too.
We lost Scott.
I think that's all for Overwatch 2.
This is going great.
We've been assembling
I don't know.
one of the best teams
It's true.
that I have ever worked
I don't know.
I'm nervous.
And I'm so proud of the progress
I'm
that
assuming
we
there's
have
no
made
information.
together.
We really liked the stylized drop down.
Imagine that it's coming forward, boom, boom. This starts to spin.
The scale and the scope of this game have meant that we've needed to grow substantially.
We have to.
Sorry. Let me start over.
Overall, I think we've done incredibly well as a team moving to work from home.
Oh, shadow play.
There have definitely been
play.
challenges, but the team is really putting everything we've got behind this game.
To me, it's the next big step in the Overwatch universe. New heroes, game modes.
I'm really excited for that
major
Canadian
story
hero.
beats.
With competitive and PvE, I see Overwatch 2 as the Overwatch for all of my friends.
You know, we're always inspired by what story and franchise development does with the animated shorts. We really wanted to bring that cinematic experience into the game.
You can invest in your heroes and grow them over time. I'm super geeked out about Overwatch 2.
I can't wait for people to play this game. It just gets better and better.
There are some things that we just can't do without a sequel.
Never showed a release
Thank
time.
you so much for your patience so far, and I hope you enjoy this behind-the-scenes look at Overwatch 2.
I feel like this is a very just big way to say we don't have anything.
All of our players at home, they
But we'll
want to see one of the new maps that we've never talked about before.
Really, I can just like
And again, thank you so much for all
I
the
can
subs.
just talk about
I'm trying not to talk too
anything
much.
that I want to.
Yes.
You're serving this up to the guy that is like unintentionally leaked information in past interviews.
You can do it officially now.
Okay, so one of the maps that I'm most excited for in Overwatch 2 is our Rome map.
Okay, that's
we always
pretty.
want Overwatch to feel like this globe-trotting adventure for our players. So we're having a lot of fun coming up with the
I'll take an
Overwatch
official lead.
version of Rome.
We wanted a very romantic, sort of this powerful feeling of old world architecture. One of the most exciting things for me is the early building of these maps, where we get to sit down together with key people from the environment team, level designers, effects groups. We'll spend some time talking about moments in the game that we really want to see, like the Colosseum or a grand view of the hills of Rome in the backdrop. And then we'll go back and do a paint over, or we'll do a concept painting of certain things based on that.
We try to draw inspiration from as many different sources as possible. For
I missed
example,
Overwatch
one
stuff.
of our environment artists had
started.
just taken a trip to Rome.
I watched the Hearthstone
and
stuff first.
he
Now
returned with
I'm rewatching
thousands of pictures.
the
and was
Overwatch stuff.
So excited to work on a map set in Italy.
There's a lot of ancient architecture in Rome that
It
represents
did show the core
the
set stuff,
empire that it
kinda.
used to be.
Not all the
So
cards,
we
but
brought
some.
some of that back. Some of the things that are
Assassinate is
destroyed
4
in real
mana
life,
now.
we kind of rebuilt in a kind of an Overwatch style.
It's one of the most beautiful
Yeah, Chicken Taco
pieces
Pizza
of
is actually really
environment
good.
art that I think we've made for the entire game, and it just absolutely took my breath away.
Can we reveal more maps?
Yes,
Please?
Scott.
Oh, thank God.
Scott, why don't you
One of my
have the
biggest
honor?
complaints of
Why don't you
Overwatch is the fact that
reveal-
they
is
release
there
one
an
map every
artifact-
year.
like,
At
let's
least
pick
one
an
actual
artifact
in-game
one.
map, not like
I
a
know what map
deathmatch
I
map.
want to talk about. It's the one that I just get super excited about. New York City. New York City is just an amazing Overwatch location.
We're really striving to make it as authentic as possible while still putting this Overwatch spin on it.
There's a lot of amazing buildings
York.
and architecture pieces that just, especially for
Good
artists,
place,
stands
though.
out
I'm
a
surprised they
lot,
haven't
and
already.
They usually use this kind of Art Deco style from the 1920s, 1950s.
Tyson lives in New York.
We started in an area that's a little bit like the Village. There's some smaller shops there. There's a fire station, little pizza places, and things that people that are familiar with New York City will either recognize or maybe see the reference that we're trying to make with some of our different locations. It feels like something you haven't seen in other games before because it's uniquely Overwatch.
Well, we should move on. Otherwise, we just have to reveal more maps. So we were talking about PvP. And, you know, one thing that I think is really interesting about PvP in Overwatch 2 is some of the philosophical changes we're making to the approach.
PvP feels different and new. We're upgrading our combat feel. The roles are playing differently. When it comes to all new maps, it's a pretty big departure from where we are on live right now. So I can't wait to see where we end up with it by the time we launch this thing.
We're also experimenting with the idea we call role passives, which are passive abilities that a hero can have based on what role they are. For example, currently in our internal builds, the tank heroes all have knockback reduction against them, and they also generate less ultimate charge for enemies that are shooting at them. Damage dealing heroes have a movement speed bonus, which is great for flanking around the map. And healing heroes, support heroes have automatic healing that kicks in after they haven't taken damage for a while, very similar to Mercy's passive, but a little bit of a lower rate.
One of the more shocking changes that we've been exploring in Overwatch 2 PvP is a change to the tank role entirely. That's applied to all of the tanks. We want to try to make them more toe-to-toe brawlers and less characters that just stand back and protect other people.
So, for example, for Reinhardt, we've given him 2 charges of Fire Strike, so we can throw Fire Strikes a lot more aggressively and more often.
Oh, I like
also,
that.
His charge, he's able to cancel it now, and you can steer it more aggressively, so you can, you know, not quite turn a corner, but you can definitely more accurately pin targets. And because you can cancel it, it allows you to use it much more aggressively and
holy
shit,
really
go after
I like
those
that
targets without feeling like you're going to sacrifice, you know, all of your positioning, everything to get there.
All right,
it's almost more terrifying now with this, to be able to unleash his full arsenal more
Boys,
often.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting that feeling.
The changes to Reinhardt that we're trying, and they might not ship, that's just the reality, but the changes that we're trying right now are to try to embrace more of that instinct that players have when they want to play a big burly character that looks aggressive and feels like it should be aggressive.
They'll probably get like their health like reduced or something.
Shortly after BlizzCon, we spun up this group, our combat field group, to really just work on what happens when a player holds the trigger.
We're putting a ton of effort into looking at all of our characters and trying to give them even a more visceral weapon feel.
From sound to VFX to animation to the design of these units, all new sounds for a lot of our weapons in the game, and a whole new sound system that's driving it. And we didn't just level up a unit, we leveled up the rest of the game.
Ooh, I like your gun.
When we first started working on Overwatch, you know, we spent quite a bit of time working on gunfire sounds and just general combat feel to make it feel really awesome. We're revisiting pretty much everything. Nothing's off the table, so we're looking at even kind of small things such as quick melee attacks that every hero has. So they have kind of new audio pass and a new kind of feel and visual effect when you hit things.
I'm actually really excited about that. It sounds a little, but that has a huge difference.
We're calling our Weapon 2.0 sound pass. What this is a big overhaul to the weapon systems in the game. That means the way the gun feels in your hands. You can feel the ammo running out as you're getting lower on the clip. We've really tried to amplify those sounds.
You don't think these like sort of sounds matters? Play like an old Call of Duty game for all the guns. Like that's not intervention, right?
Another key for the
and then go to the newer
to
ones,
like
and like you will like, oh,
this
I
meant
see.
working with convolution reverb. It's a new system that we've implemented into Overwatch. It's a way that we can capture the acoustics of an environment and transport it onto the sounds that we're using. So we went and captured tales of guns in different environments through our weapon shoots.
I feel like that could be a mean template. Just put something with like shooting the machine gun, then put like whatever you hate at the bottom there.
And then we've cut them and applied it so that we can support a lot more environments. Now we're supporting outdoor, urban outdoor, warehouse tales.
Oh, okay, that's really good.
Tight tunnels, small rooms, and it gives a lot more presence to the weapons and the way that they react in the world.
I like that a lot.
Has evolved a lot since Overwatch 1 came out. On top of that, I think we really want to push the visceral nature of how we do combat. So we focus a lot, not just on the wonderful sound effects, but also with how the gun moves as you shoot. You know, so you
one
really
of the Overwatch devs. Ooh, I like Sombra's like new look
and
there.
There's a lot of subtle
her
little
gun.
tweaks we have to do on the gameplay.
One of the Overwatch devs, I don't remember his name. I literally told him to tweet at me, and he did, and then I lost him through like my mentions.
Sure that if you get shot, you know
he was
exactly
like, "I'm a huge fan, loved what you're doing."
All these things.
And I was like, "Oh, weird," because like an actual like
not just
our Overwatch developer reached out to me.
Take 76.
It might have been him. I'm not too sure though.
In Overwatch 2 with his weapon was make it really
it's been
feel
a year or two.
Powerful, and that happens with a bunch of different elements that mix together. But it really feels like the gun is almost just outside of your control. A lot of that comes down to this camera shake technology, where every time you fire the weapon, you want to feel like it's running through your entire body, and the camera shake gives that extra bite to every single shot out of the chamber. It makes him feel really great.
You guys got a sneak peek of Sojourn.
I do wonder if that's going to cause motion sickness with people. I feel like it shouldn't, but I
she's
feel like it
actually
might.
at this point become a lot of people's favorites in-house. When we look back at Overwatch when it was originally created,
This character does look really cool, though. I'm very excited for her.
From a gameplay standpoint, kind of surrounding a weapon type. For example, Pharah was based on a rocket launcher hero. Widowmaker is clearly like
I also really love seeing all these maps at different times of day. That looks so nice.
Missing that would be a lot of fun to play with, and that's a railgun. It's so much fun in the playtest to have this really powerful shot that can, rip through enemies if you really are accurate with it. And she's all about that aim skill. So if you got that aim skill, you'll love her.
We're still exploring new game modes, and we're also reevaluating
they talked about the sound, I think.
older game modes that people are more critical of. We're of the mindset maybe 2CP doesn't exist in Overwatch 2, and maybe there's a new cool game mode that replaces it. We really want Overwatch 2 to feel like the next
nothing
evolution,
confirmed, but
a true sequel to the first game, not an add-on. It's not a small part. It's not an extension of the original game. This is an evolution and a replacement to the original game, and I think it's exciting.
Okay, so
Hero
no
missions
confirming,
are
but
probably one of the things that's the hardest to
We're
wrap
looking
your
at
head
it, which
around
that's
if
exciting.
you've never played one of them.
Do you think just like a team deathmatch, first to 50 kills would be good in Overwatch?
Co-op PvE experience.
I personally only play competitive mode. Like, I'm all about that competition.
That's me.
And I have friends that they don't want to do that at all. So I'm really looking forward to a game that I can play hours and hours with my friends who aren't in competitive, and it's also something that I'm interested in.
Hero missions are the content that people are playing as they are leveling up their heroes, and so for a system like this to really sing, you need a lot of missions. We don't want players to feel like they're just in this grind to get to the top.
And there's a lot of really, really good back-end technology that we're exploring so that the heroes are constantly bringing their personality and some light story to these hero missions as well.
The goal is to make as many as possible, hundreds of hero missions. We've explored a lot of different ways of getting to that much content. Still have like different sets of enemy units that people will be fighting against, and there's different hero mission types. At the same time,
those new
hero
gun
missions
sounds
can
sound
take place
so
in all of
good.
the multiplayer maps that we've done, and we're also adding new spaces onto some of these maps.
It's a huge challenge for the art team. We take maps that a lot of people love and recognize, and we have to add a lot more art and level design to it.
We had to copy and paste these boxes. Our life is rough.
We came up to an area in Kings Row that usually
I'm very
has a
down
gate
playing
on
it, but
Suddenly
I know what they
that
mean.
gate opened, and I saw a new area of Kings Row that I had never seen before.
You may be playing a payload game type, and the payload may decide to take this new route instead of going the usual route.
That was really, really cool. It was like this eye-opening special moment.
Lan, our lead tech artist on the environment side, very early on her own free time, made a prototype of a sandstorm on the Temple of Anubis map.
And at the time, we didn't know what we wanted to do with that, but it looked awesome.
We looked at it and went, oh my God, we absolutely have to do this.
So we put some new technology in place that allows us to do this dynamically. You start the mission off, clear day. Midway through the mission, suddenly this sandstorm or heavy weather.
Yeah, that's beautiful, actually.
It made the world just feel so much more alive.
There's a sunset, daytime, nighttime, but depending on where you are in the world, these look different. California or Hollywood would have what we call a California sun.
That
In
bottom
Nubani,
right,
there's a
though,
great
holy
African
shit.
sun that happens there. You start to get a sense of space and mood. This is what really brings the levels to life.
For me, the dynamic world's exciting. Just seeing these dramatic landscapes, the wind and the atmosphere blowing by. It's a much more cinematic experience for the player.
Before you start a mission, you look at a map. It's nighttime in
I wonder if it'd be in competitive play, though.
There's a sandstorm.
I can see competitive having no weather and like walked times a day.
Like Hanzo or Widowmaker start to be
But it does look really nice, though. And I kind of wouldn't mind it in competitive. Even the weather. Like, fuck it. Metal Gear Online had weather maps, and people liked it for the most part. Like, people hate the maps, but people loved it too, right?
Yeah, let's talk about the objectives. Players are being asked to do different things from one hero mission to the next so that they all feel really fresh to the player.
For example, we have Gather and Return, where you're trying to go and grab these different canisters to kind of safeguard them so they don't go off and affect the population in a negative way. It creates this really cool tension in the world where, on the one hand, you're trying to split up and go grab all these canisters to be as efficient as possible, but at the same time, now you're having these sort of special enemy units spawn that are really difficult, and if you kind of get caught by yourself, it turns into a pretty bad situation really quickly, and it feels extremely cooperative and like a very different way to interact with the Overwatch universe.
We're experimenting with all sorts of ideas, and just internally we have names like Wall of Death, Scavenger Hunt, and Kill Quest, and all these new mechanics and enemies for people to experience. Players will be able to jump in night after night, play different hero missions, and then work through the progression system, leveling up their heroes.
At BlizzCon in 2019, we started to talk about progression, and we showed the very early version of our talent system, which I think was really cool. We had that one talent where like Meg became the rolling snowball, which was a big hit. We've really blown that system out.
I'm real excited about talents.
I actually feel like Overwatch 2 does actually seem promising.
With the skill tree, you can have
like,
fun every night doing different things and kind of experimenting.
Yeah,
oh my god, that soldier art looks so fucking good.
And rich, and
I forgot this isn't live. I can rewind it.
Trees. You might open up 76's tree.
Ding.
Yeah, the talent system is
ball, which was a big hit.
You gotta see that again, chat.
That system out.
You've missed
I'm real excited about talents. You can play the same hero in so many different ways. Now with the skill tree, you can have fun every.
Look at that beautiful beard. I never knew I wanted Soldier 76 with a beard. That is, Junkrat's the same. Reinhardt, as we know, got a cool change. Mercy also got the cool change. I feel like the Soldier one's new, and that is badass. Junkrat, insane. Just the same. No one cares about
doing
him.
Different things and kind of experimenting.
Yeah, the talent
That's
system
crazy.
is like
That looks
really
good.
deep and rich, and every single hero has different trees. You might open up 76's tree, and as you're leveling and picking new talents, you're starting to feel your hero change. We've had some pretty hilarious versions of the healing one where his biotic field travels with him. It also repulses enemies. We called it the snowplow build, where 76 is like running through spaces, pushing enemies away from them.
Designing these is super fun because it's like we get to break all the rules that we've sort of established for ourselves, and
I am actually looking forward. Like, I'm just hoping the single player is actually good.
Dual-wield grenade launchers.
I'm keep comparing it to Vermintide, which is kind of similar. We have different classes, and it's like an endless shooter or like waves.
You're all used to using these kind of kinetic weapons like Soldier 76's rifle or fire attack like what Reinhardt's Flame Strike does. As soon as you start to mutate these things with talents, all of a sudden
Vermintide is stale though. True. That's also, well, it gets stale kind of quickly. That's my biggest fear about this, right?
And if you shock someone with a lightning attack, they can shake in place and stun, maybe chain to other enemies.
But they also do changes in like weekly like challenges too. It's like, you know, like how they have the Junkenstein
opened up the talent tree system
stuff every year with like the extra challenges. They do that, but every week. So
like, I just want to plan and I want to see like
could be enough because it's not for us. That's how we still play Vermintide here and there.
It's so great. And you start at the bottom of the tree.
Just not every day.
Exactly.
Like Tracer gets to do what?
Yeah.
And then you start working and kind of planning how you're gonna get down there. It's like, it's so fun.
Because I also do feel with the single player stuff, you don't have to worry about meta per se. I'm sure
2019,
there is like a best build,
some
but
of the criticisms that we had. One of them as a development team that we felt was that the combat was just not engaging enough. So the fact that our combat wasn't highly engaging to us as players meant that we had a problem with the enemy units and that they just weren't feeling interesting enough.
Just because we show something to the public, it doesn't mean that that is what it's going to be. If we make discoveries where things aren't working how we want, they're not reading how we want, they're not fun enough, we're totally down to
you just uploaded a card review already,
reiterate, and just really find ways to level kind of all aspects of things until
I'm going to start uploading this sort of stuff to the Raw channel right after.
Of all of
kind of have to, right?
Was to make the null sector enemy units more engaging, and some of this was adding new units and evolving other units that we had.
I do agree. The null sector was a little boring. They were square and had guns.
So sometimes we're going to ask you to protect something in Overwatch 2. Sometimes we're just going to ask you to get someplace. Sometimes we might ask you to escort something across a map while it's being attacked. And so it's a different type of spawning, and it's a different type of units that are in there, and it's a simpler objective.
There's a lot of units Aaron is talking about. Lots of different units, lots of different types. They serve different purposes. You do different things to them. It's really going to help a lot of us find the fun and make sure that Overwatch 2 is a blast.
One of those sets of enemies is what we internally call objective units. And they're typically units that don't even attack players. The simplest version would be something like the Breacher.
It's two legs with this huge bomb on its back. It was built to do one thing.
Oh.
Slowly and methodically march towards its objective. And then it
looks way better than the big ball that's just sort of
opens up like a
floating,
flower,
right?
It starts spinning and charging up, and you hear this awesome sound, and you know you have a little bit of time before it's going to explode, and you have to take it out.
Okay, there was an explosion. Like I think I didn't see it for the first one there.
Before they're little, we call them the chickens. Little chicken snares. They run really fast. You know, we have a guy we're experimenting with right now who flies and drops these bombs that create these kind of ever-expanding smoke fields that you have to escape from, but because they're super deadly. So
I really want to play this.
Options to kind of escape that.
There's things like the polar. You could be moving through these darker alleys, and as soon as you hear that polar spawn, it suddenly becomes like really spooky and kind of scary.
This very tall, elegant-looking character that's blindfolded, 3 orbs that circle around her as her eyes, and we basically spun those orbs around her head as a big tell, launched them at the player, and then it activated this tractor beam, and it's bringing you in, and then you get this awesome like anticipation of the hair opening up so you know what's about to happen.
Oh god, that's so
One thing
scary
we've just recently
and
been
so
experimenting
good.
with is this idea of elite units. We didn't want the elite units to feel like they're just, oh, this guy's got
a bit
double
of a
health
puller
and double
myself,
damage.
chat.
We want to make sure the elite units feel like they have different behaviors and have different attacks. So, for
Don't like the
example,
name.
an Omnic Grunt.
I'm sure they'll change it.
Normally, he fires his gun, he dies pretty simply. If you fight elite grunts, his weapon fires in a burst fire pattern. It's very deadly if you're close, and if you manage to take him out, they don't just die right away. They instead can crawl on the ground towards you, and you try to back away.
Oh, hey, Nazi zombies.
They can explode.
I don't think that. I think it was just crawlers. People call them.
At BlizzCon, we're all just staring at this, and we're like, what are we going to do to level this up?
One of the things we really felt wasn't coming through was the damage states. We intend for players to shoot these guns off, but currently it's not reading as something that can happen in the game easily.
We changed the design, we changed the animation, and we go back and forth and just continually iterate.
We decided, hey, you know what? We're gonna just delete half of these damage states, so now it's super readable.
From an animation standpoint, we decided on spinning barrel version. Just did this really nice kickback. The tip of the barrel opens up.
I'm a little confused what they're talking about. Like I kind of do, but
into place and boom!
It's really amazing to be fighting an artillery unit, and you can see the guns on the side, and as you're shooting the guns, they're actually visibly taking damage, and then you can blow them off, and it reacts and kind of stumbles to the side, and really makes
that's
you feel like
really cool.
Super fun.
In a lot of the stuff we've showed so far, you're fighting Null Sector. These are evil killing machines intent on marching you down. The way you're going to stop them is by shooting them, and we want to make sure that feels
Honeymoon, I do agree. They do need to add something to Overwatch as of right now.
It feels
honestly,
like
even if they just added the UI
punched, almost like hit by a
and
truck.
just change
That's
the
what really
time of the day,
sells the
that's enough.
fantasy that you're playing these superheroes. One of the cool pieces of technology that we created was what we call chain hit reactions. Oftentimes, you'll find Null Sector bunched up, marching maybe a half a dozen units abreast. You expect if you shoot one abreast, they're going to knock into their buddies. So we make that happen. Turns out it's really fun too.
One of the things that we showed last year at BlizzCon was the new looks for our heroes. The theory kind of going in was like, you want to preserve the essence of your hero, but also kind of show that that heroes evolved and kind of changed and moved forward. So we have a lot more new looks. So I'm excited to see how players and fans react to all of the ones that we've done so far.
Maybe we'll share some of those new looks today, which would be cool.
Please.
We're going to reveal McCree's new look for Overwatch 2 as well as Pharah. And we're really excited to show off some of our first villains with Reaper and Widowmaker. But first, I wanted to talk a little bit about
we already kind of saw Widow.
Wear, kind of like technical clothing. What that really is using very techie fabrics as well as
I do really like the new looks though.
But functional straps designed in a way that it's very aesthetically pleasing. With McCree, we took a couple of different approaches. He's got this classic cowboy look that it's really hard to mess with.
Oh yeah, he's a little different. He's got a beard and his cape's different. I think everything else is the same.
It might not feel right for the character. But as a concept artist, you always want to change things.
I like his gun.
Try different shapes.
His gun looks good.
And silhouettes. So we did identify as Red Serape as the main thing for McCree. We also tried a couple different things with McCree's cowboy hat. We didn't really want to mess with that too much because that's a very iconic part of him. So that's another piece that we kept. We tried some retro cowboy looks that mixed in some tech.
Looks pretty good. That looks good.
Some that were a little bit more techie than others. Some that were a little bit more classic cowboy.
White glove skin or whatever it's called.
Beard, and it really gives him a nice kind of like a more aged look.
Okay.
What's different about Pharah than some of our other heroes?
Yeah, I guess you can't really mess with it too much.
Pharah's completely covered in armor. We didn't want to change her silhouette too much. It was more about experimenting on different colors.
Is this the new one?
So it felt really appropriate for her to be the one to harken back to those original Overwatch colors of white.
Reminds me of Samus.
One of the things that we wanted to update on Pharah was her visor. Instead of being completely opaque and reflective, we tried a little bit more of a transparent approach, and being able to see
this is the new one
a little bit now allows us to see some more of her emotions. Reaper was actually the ones I was very excited to work on because I could see a lot of potential in how we can integrate.
I like his back more and like his
cowl,
hood thing going on here,
and how we can make all those shapes really sing within that classic, Reaper silhouette. We tried a couple takes with the first pass, like completely silver arms, more layers to his jacket. Reaper's mask.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of a challenge. You don't want to change them too much, where they're completely new characters, but they still have all of their recognizability, right?
Almost like deadly, edgy silver. That just gives him that classic Reaper look. With Widowmaker, we started with the idea stage, exploring a breadth of ideas. We tried things like a more insectoid approach, treasure hunter. One of them made her feel like a classic Bond villain, so we kind of steered it back towards one of the more cyberpunk-looking ones, almost like a futuristic femme fatale, which is basically what Widowmaker is, but she even feels more upgraded. So I'm super glad that we went down this route. We played with different hairstyles too. Widowmaker has the really long ponytail that's really key part of her look. And we really liked the hairstyle on one of the designs that was more of a braid, and it was really interesting.
I do think the braid is way cooler too.
Widowmaker's original silhouette with that long ponytail.
We've been working a lot with our domino engine and making our cloth look
ass
better.
crease?
Now
I
that
didn't
we have
see.
this cloth tech, we're going to be able to make some really cool, unique silhouettes that will help them stand out from other heroes. We put a lot of time and effort into our face rig, and what I mean by that is we're gonna be able to get really close to these characters, and it's gonna feel really cool. It is absolutely worth the time and the effort to invest in technology.
I didn't like being that close to him, I'm not gonna lie.
These characters do more things that we haven't really been able to do before.
It's been super exciting working on the new looks for Overwatch 2, and it's just been so inspiring to watch the team try things that we've never tried before.
That new Widow looks really good.
And it just can't
McCree's growing on me too, and the Reaper far, I cannot tell the difference other than like the visor thing they said.
The largest opportunity we've had since the inception of the franchise to really expand what Overwatch even means to our players.
Oh, his backpack's a
Zero
frog
Hour,
face.
we saw that some of the heroes got back together, but we're also seeing that there seems to be a second huge Omnic uprising. We're gonna learn who's behind that uprising, why that's happening, how globally spread is it.
The story and franchise development group, they were really the torchbearers of what the big story is that we were going to tell for this game.
We have a lot of interaction with them. They're working on in-game cinematic
new hero has
intros
bigger
and
hips than I
outros
anticipated.
For every one of our story missions.
It's been really great to see this collaboration
Not
grow
a bad
and develop.
thing at
The
all.
story is just a little more integrated into our missions than it ever really has been before. All the available heroes get dialogue for a given mission. We have NPCs. We have multiple hero choices.
We have all sorts of events that are happening that are driving players to interact with each other or parts of the environment or other characters.
The world of Overwatch is this bright, shiny future. So how do you take that bright, shiny future and create conflict in it? How dark can the world of Overwatch
Jeff
go?
2.0,
The different
Jeff
challenges
Chamberlain.
that these characters are going to have to overcome in Overwatch 2 are things that they haven't ever dealt with before or dealt with on this scale. So what we had to do was literally strip it down to this bare bones of where are these characters in their lives. Overwatch has been disbanded, and now there's a situation where the world's in trouble again, and the world needs the heroes.
Wait, was it
again,
actually Young in Eglinton in
not allowed
Toronto?
to be doing what
I
they were
missed
supposed to
that.
be doing.
That was actually shown. That's pretty crazy.
We started to book these off-site locations so we could brainstorm over and over different versions
I think Cooper's old
of
apartment
what
was
the
actually on Young and
Overwatch
Eglinton.
2 story campaign could be.
And we basically had these whiteboards.
These
that we were
Eglinton
carting around everywhere.
West?
The room was filled with whiteboards,
Don't remember
and
which
we would
one.
just write every day.
Really pretty
Story
area, lots of
beats
malls and
with the
shit.
characters and who was doing what and where, and oh my gosh, we forgot this character.
We had these giant sticky notes, and each one of them would be a mission with a bunch of notes on it. You know, somebody say, well, what if we moved Rio to the end, and they'd physically grab it off the wall?
It's the first time I've actually ever seen the no cursing thing
And we
redeemed.
did this for a while, you know, until we all felt that it was pretty close to what we wanted.
Then we could send it to our writers' rooms. The writers' rooms then had a much clearer direction of where we wanted this process to go.
Ultimately, we come up with something that we think is right for the game. And then we pitch it back to the game team, and they point out everything that we missed.
And that allows us to actually back up and go and make it right and make it better.
Because the scale of this story is so huge, it takes place over the whole world, basically. It just requires a constant iteration, constant refinement to make the story as best as we can make it.
Okay, I'm glad they're actually sticking to a story, though.
The storyboards get crafted with the edit. From there, it'll go to a previs department where they'll start to flesh it out in 3D. Once we've kind of figured out our camera work and our cinematography, that'll then go to the animation department. And then we end up going right into the game engine.
One of our challenges was to figure out how
He's gonna
to
kill Reinhardt.
integrate this story and this narrative with the gameplay.
So if the intro cinematic ends with this huge battle, this huge war, when you get into the game, it has to mesh and feel the exact same way and blend together.
We really are also trying to get the music to be equally as consistent from in-game cinematics straight through to the mission. Adam Burgess, our lead composer, has been working with the IGC team, with the game team, developing themes for all of the heroes, all of the locations.
As the cinematic director, whatever we're crafting should never override the gameplay. We want to make sure that the player's experience going from the cinematic to the gameplay is seamless and it feels like a completely immersive experience.
The engineers, we have to find a way to actually make that come to fruition.
Okay.
The choreo tool
Another
is a
5
tool that
minutes.
allows people to coordinate different events to happen at the same time. Like in Rio, if you played our demo, one of the buildings explodes. And so that kind of event needs to happen as you're running by, and you need to have it timed, because if it blows up too early, then you don't see it. It allows story moments in missions that interact
They're
with the
kind of like almost
environment, that
doing like,
interact
it's
with
like
our
Vermintide
characters.
and Uncharted.
New tech and new abilities.
I feel like Uncharted does that a lot and pays very well attention to that.
We could have previously.
What's also really powerful about choreo is that, you know, if somebody has an idea, they can mock things up really quickly.
We got to show the Widowmaker making this awesome introduction. And Casey was able to
really got to make Widowmaker
really rough
fart real hard in her suit.
And Philip would come in and on the fly, he's making quick changes. They play tested something that would normally take weeks. It was done in like a matter of days.
It does look cool.
Each story mission has its own custom map built for it, and these maps are absolutely gigantic.
India is one of our biggest maps, and it's a fun map because it has a few story beats
that
that
are
taken from recent comics and characters in the game.
We've written a
that looks like Zen lore to me,
city, so that the cities feel lived in, and I think that informs the artists so that they know like what it is that the city has been through.
Gothenburg was our chance to show Torbjorn's workshop. We created a space that kind of fits his height, so there's step ladders and scalable tables. We designed the space.
That's actually pretty funny.
Molten steel is pouring out of walls. It's pretty epic when you walk into it.
That's really cool.
Toronto was under siege by NULL sector when the players arrived here. There's a dynamic.
Oh my God! Yeah, it said King Street Station. Holy shit!
Snow is slowly building up. Suddenly,
That's
by the
so
end,
weird
the
to
characters
see.
are caught in this gigantic snowstorm, and they must fight their way through.
In Overwatch 2, we want to give you choice to be able to play this character or that character. So we're designing a lot of systems around how their relationships develop over the course of the story missions in the campaign.
Sorry, I'll try to react harder.
We have a cast of many characters, all on screen, all at the same time, and it's fantastic to actually see them all interacting and working together in ways that we've never actually
I feel like
seen.
it's wrapping up
We've
now.
always thought about it and hoped for it, but now it's actually happening.
It actually requires us to have a whole
I wonder if
new
Echo will get a change. I saw her
if you
in
happen
the corner
to have
there, but
Genji and Mercy in the second mission of the game,
Mercy's
you
looking
might
really
get
good too,
different
though.
dialogue that's about their relationship.
Our voice actors bring the characters to life in ways that everybody has fallen in love with, from inside Blizzard to the fans. It's just to hear this collection
That's
of
true.
actors
Voice
all
actors-
together, all interacting.
I don't think
has
there's
been
a,
real treat.
bad Overwatch voice actor. They all do a phenomenal job.
I wish people could see how many people are involved when it comes to something like telling the story of Overwatch. It doesn't just come from a singular person. It comes from a group, and it's a really talented, fun group that all works together.
We've been developing what we hope is one of the best stories ever. And, there's some key story moments that I'm really excited about, and I really can't wait to see how people react to it.
I'm so excited for that new hero. It's gonna be so long until we see her, but
about the game, about this universe. I know you all love it so much.
Right now, we can sit down and have a night of Overwatch 2 and have it be a really fun experience. And I think we need some more time till we can say it's perfectly polished in the way that we want it.
We've made such incredible strides since we first announced this and showed it to the community at BlizzCon in 2019.
The thing that I'm most excited about is that moment when we hand the game over to the players.
We want to create something that really moves people, really touches people.
That's why we do it. We create the game because we want it to become part of your life and for you to experience
just
it.
consume. They also must have filmed this a while ago. Jeff doesn't have his beard.
It's kind of 5 games in one. It's a huge undertaking.
The new tech and the new aesthetics for the new looks bring you closer to the characters that you love, and we're just getting started.
The fidelity of the gameplay experience is much richer.
We are making cinematics that push the boundary of what we can do to tell stories.
We want this dynamic world. We want things to feel alive.
I'm really looking forward to being able to expand the world of Overwatch for our players.
We're really trying to tell
Oh, sorry, I
this
forgot to react
epic
harder.
story.
In order to make a game great, it takes time, energy, collaboration.
There we go.
We have just an incredibly professional team of designers and artists and engineers.
We just love bringing this.
It's actually
world to you
looking
guys.
really
So many
good.
cool characters. It's just a blast working on it.
Our goal is for
that Zenyatta on
Overwatch
skis?
2 to be the worthy successor to the first
God
game,
damn.
to be the next evolution, and to be a true sequel.
That shot.
We have big plans. So thank you for sticking with us.
we're gonna cross the finish line, and I know it's gonna be awesome.
I hope people just end up loving playing it over and over.
That's what we want to try and capture. I'm jumping in, I'm playing, let's go be heroes.
Damn. Damn. I hate how much I really want to play Overwatch 2. I think it's just commercials for a little bit. It looks like they're doing the voice acting thing, but I don't think I'm going to cover that at all.
Our fates are entwined. You know what was going to come, but I'll circle back with Jeff
Damn.
from a developer perspective.
That's actually okay. I'm really flipping excited about that.
I'm gonna echo what everyone else.
Dear Lord.
But the global impact.
Okay, well at least I'll probably play Overwatch 2 guaranteed on the main channel. Don't know if it's going to be a main game or not. Like we'll have to see what everything is like. But dear Lord, it's looking good. I cannot lie.